Hi, this is Debbie Thompson, coach and trainer from Groupability. As a member of BNI, I know how important it is to constantly bring visitors to the chapter. Because visitors are so important to our chapters, we often hold visitors' days. And we've got one coming up in a few weeks' time in my own chapter, which is BNI Universal. But visitors' days don't just happen. It takes consistent effort from every chapter member over the period of 6 weeks or so before your visitors' day in order to make it a great success. In the weeks before your visitors' day, it's time for every member of the chapter to focus on bringing the right people to your visitors' day meeting. BNI has great resources that can help you structure your preparation for visitors' days, and if you don't have access to those resources, contact your BNI director. About 5 weeks before your visitors' day, you need to rally the troops and get everyone on board so that your visitors' day comes together. The two key outcomes you want out of your meeting 5 weeks before your visitors' day is, firstly, decide as a chapter how many members you want your chapter to grow by as a result of your visitors' day. Secondly, work out how many invites you'll need to send out in order to make that happen. And here's where your BNI director will help you a lot, because BNI have great workshop activities for you to identify exactly what that number is. And usually it ends up being around 40 invites per person. Thirdly, challenge each member to bring 20 names of people to invite to the next meeting. Now remember, you're not asking them to actually invite these people. You're just asking them to show up with a list of names for inviting in a couple of weeks' time. But even when you use BNI's structured education, you'll find that upcoming visitors' days can be a source of great stress to many members. And the biggest challenge in week 1 is that members are scared they won't be able to come up with 20 names before the next meeting. They want to contribute, they're keen to have a great visitors' day, but they think they don't know enough people. And they don't think that they've got enough names they could invite. They don't want to let the chapter down. You know, getting over these kinds of obstacles or barriers to success is exactly what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis with my own clients. Even with the right education, people get scared and feel like they can't accomplish what needs accomplishing. But what happens is, once they take the first few steps with support and encouragement and education, they realize that what they want is actually achievable. So when it comes to identifying who you can invite to your visitors' day, here's what I've found. Number 1, you know a lot more people than you think you do. It's like this: when you focus on something, you see more of it. Like when I bought my first car, which was an Arctic Blue Toyota Camry, I'd never noticed any Arctic Blue cars before, but once I had my own Arctic Blue car, it seemed like they were coming out of the woodwork all around me, and every second person had one. The same happens when you focus on finding visitors for your visitors' day. Start looking, and you'll see them. So if you took 2 minutes right now and made a list of the people you know who you could invite to the chapter, you'd come up with at least a few names. When we did this in our chapter, most people came up with around 7 names. So in the space of 2 minutes, you're almost halfway to the 20 names you need to bring to the meeting next week. But you know a lot more people than that. If you've got a business card holder or a pile of business cards that you've collected, and you went through those, you'll identify people whose categories aren't represented in your chapter that you could add to your invite list. You've probably got a database of contacts somehow, whether it's Excel in a spreadsheet, or it's an email contact list, or something a bit more fancy like a CRM system. So who's in that database that you could invite? Since you're looking for local people who can attend your chapter, who do you call when you need help around the house? Who's your electrician? Who's your plumber? If you're not sure, check out your fridge magnets. I completely forgot about our dog groomer until I looked at my fridge and noticed the magnet for her business there. Now, what about your suppliers? Sometimes your suppliers are the perfect visitors. Look through the invoices you've paid recently in your business and see if there's any candidates on that list. Now, who else do you interact with? There are people or businesses you know through LinkedIn or Facebook. There are people you see at your snooker night or your book club. Most people at this point realize they know a lot more potential visitors than they ever thought. So focusing on people you know is a good start. But there's a second category of people you need to consider when coming up with your visitors' days invitation names. And these are people you sort of know. So when I looked through all of the sources I mentioned, for example, in my business card list, there were people that I sort of knew. I'd met them once or twice, but that was it. So don't leave those people out. Include them on your list as well. And there's other places to find people you sort of know. Look through your local Chamber of Commerce website and find the membership listing. I'm guessing you're going to recognize some of the names or the businesses listed. Add them to your list. There are also a lot of people who you know, but you don't know enough about them to know what they do for a living. I found out my son's sports coach is a plumber. Now, I knew him as my son's sports coach only, but now he's on my invite list. So think of all the people who you know personally, but you have no idea what they do for a living, and go and find out what they do for a living. So we've covered people you know, people you sort of know, and now we'll cover the final category. And that's people you don't know, but wouldn't mind knowing. You've seen vans with plumbers or gardeners or bathroom sealing people's contact details on them. You've read about businesses in the local paper, or you've seen their advertisements. When people are advertising, they're looking for business, right? So if you're really keen, you could flip through your local yellow pages. This is particularly useful if your chapter is focusing on inviting people from specific categories, which, by the way, is a great strategy for your Visitors Day. So if you start with people you know, move to people you sort of know, and then finally focus on people you'd like to know, you'll have no problems showing up at your meeting next week with at least 20 names for inviting to your Visitors Day. I trust this was helpful for you in preparing for your upcoming BNI Visitors Day. If you got value from this video, share it with your fellow BNI members and support them having a successful Visitors Day as well. And if you'd like to connect with me, you can find me on Facebook as Debbie Thompson Groupability. And if you can't find it on Facebook, pop over to my webpage, which is www.groupability.com.au, and I've got links to Facebook through there. So I am Debbie Thompson from Groupability. Take best care.